Hello, I'm super excited to present to you Stephen Horahan, who is a branding expert, and he's just brought out a new course called Brand Master Secrets, which I've taken. It's great, and I wanted to interview him today. So I'm going to let him do some of the talking. Can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yeah, g'day, mate. Obviously, we've spoken just in the last couple of months, but I've followed you for quite a while because I got into the branding industry in the same way that you did through visual design, logo design. So when I went out freelancing myself, about 7 or so years ago, I remember coming across your stuff way back then and following you from then and seeing you online from that point. But yeah, I get into freelancing and I built my own business from there. And my work was predominantly visually based. So I was a designer by trade, loved design and everything about it. And then I kind of started to go down the rabbit hole a little bit more in terms of branding. So branding was the thing that I liked to do the most. And yeah, I really started to get a little bit more into branding, and I started then to go beyond just the visual. So that really did pique my interest, and that kind of started me down this rabbit hole, as I said, of just studying brand strategy and learning more and more and more. And the more I learned, the more I realized I didn't know, and that just kept going. That's still going today. I'm still learning all the time. But yeah, that really did shift my focus with my clients and how I was doing business. I went from offering design services, logos, brochures, websites, and all of that to shifting my focus more towards brand strategy and helping my clients with their problems, and solving those problems through strategy, and obviously still including the design work on the back of that, which were the deliverables. But definitely my focus really did shift towards brand strategy. So today I've got a successful branding agency that I run, and I also have a business teaching designers how to become brand strategists called Brand Master Academy.
Yeah, and it's all about becoming a brand strategist. So, what is brand strategy to you? How would you define it to designers who may just be coming into this world?
Yeah, so look, we don't have to make it any more complicated than it is. Brand strategy is essentially a plan. So no matter what goals we want to achieve in life, whether we want to, win a game of football or we want to get to a destination on a road trip, if we have a plan in place, we're much better placed to achieve whatever goal that we have. And if we don't have a plan, then chances are we're going to trip up along the way, or we're not going to know where we're going, or we might not get to that destination. So first and foremost, a brand strategy is a plan for a brand. You need to not just develop a brand so it looks good. You need to know what that brand wants to achieve, who it wants to appeal to, and what way it wants to appeal to those people. So it really is a huge part of branding, beyond just the visuals, putting in place that plan and making sure all elements are considered when developing that plan, so the brand has the best possible chance of making it to that destination. But beyond just the plan, a brand strategy is a lot more than that today, because brands are really expected to have more of an element to them than just this company element, this corporate image. And that's what brands used to do back in the 80s and the early 90s. They had this corporate image, and they spoke in a corporate voice. But today consumers are so different. I mean, you think about the brands that you have a connection with today and how they speak with you. They don't speak like companies used to speak. They speak on a human level. They have personality. They know exactly what they want to say. They know exactly how to say it to you, so that they're speaking in your voice in a tone that feels familiar. All of these things that brands do today, that modern brands do today, they're not by chance. They're developed within the strategy, and a brand strategist sits down and works out who this brand is trying to appeal to, and the best way for them to appeal to that audience. So it really is becoming more than just a plan today. This brand strategy is developing out that human brand. It's giving birth to this human brand that then goes on to develop characteristics and connects on a human level. So it's the majority of a brand. I would say it's about 90% of a brand. The visuals are probably only about 10%, and everything else is the brand strategy. That's about 90%. So that's what I'd say a brand strategy is, the majority of a brand.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize this when I was doing branding. I've been doing that for about 15 years, and then you do go down that rabbit hole and you find out that branding is so much deeper. And that's why I really put so much effort into learning brand strategy. And I'd like you to talk about like why designers need to evolve and learn about brand strategy and how they can actually do this.
Yeah. So, well, why should they evolve? Well, I mean, I think anybody in the design world can kind of see what's going on. And I mean, I certainly noticed the change in the design world probably about, I would say around about 5 years ago. And that just coincided with what I was already doing with brand strategy. I was already very, very curious about brand strategy, and I had learned a lot at this stage, but I really started to notice a shift in the market. And when I was providing services to my clients within branding and providing design services, I used to have a lot of referrals, and all of my business, all of the business that I had, and I made a pretty decent living doing design work, providing brand design services. And as I said, they used to just come to me through referrals, and I didn't really have to do too much work. But then, you had a lot of changes going on in the market. You had Odesk come out, which turned into Upwork, I think, and you had freelancer.com, or I'm not sure, one of those was named differently. And yeah, you had all of these online marketplaces, which just opened up the world to all different levels of designers from all different parts of the world, which on the face of it is great, but that had a really big impact on the design industry, because the referrals that I would get previously through my clients recommending me, etc., instead of just coming and paying the rates that I was charging, they'd jump online and they'd find work that was cheaper. And then you also had software coming out like Canva, where they could go and do it themselves. And you had unlimited design services where you just paid a fee and you got unlimited design services. So you had all of these other cheaper options, and it became a lot harder for me to justify the prices that I was charging. Now, I remember having that argument at the time, not that argument, but that debate with my clients as to why I charge so much more than these other designers. And my debate back then was about my experience and my processes. I didn't just bash together logos without putting, real thought behind their business and who they wanted to engage. But they didn't really see the value in that. They didn't see all of that value, all of the processes and the thought that I went through in the development of my designs. They just saw, I can pay X amount over here and I'll still get an end product of a logo, or I could pay X amount over here, which is 3, 4, 5 times more, and still have a logo. So they weren't able to make the distinction of that value, because at that point I hadn't really defined myself how I was offering that value. I hadn't started to offer brand strategy services as a standalone service, and I was just including all of my design thinking, my strategic thinking within the end product, which was my logo. So that was the difference for me. And that there's a lot of people, I know there's a lot of people, because I'm speaking with more and more people today saying that they've been looking for this type of information for a long time, because they can see that change. They know what's going on, and they're getting squeezed on price, and they're getting their clients saying to them, I can go and get this done cheaper on freelancer.com or on upwork.com. So the big differentiator there is the value in which this creative thinking that established designers do behind the scenes, and presenting that value to their clients, and really showing what the value is there. So that is really why designers today need to evolve. If designers are providing branding services, they're going to see what's going on in the marketplace. They can see exactly what I'm talking about right now, and they know, because a lot of them have probably started to go down that rabbit hole of what is brand strategy, and they need to evolve because the market today is a lot different to how it was 3 years ago, and it's going to be a lot different in 5 years time or even 10 years time. So anybody in branding now needs to ask themselves, well, what am I going to be doing in branding in the next 5 years or the next 10 years, and what's that market going to look like? So for me, if you're going to be in any industry, you need to specialize. You need to go all in on whatever it is that you want to do. And if branding is what you want to do, then go beyond just the designs, really dig into what branding is all about. And I think once you start digging, you'll realize that what you've been doing all of this time is only really the tip of the iceberg. So that's how I see designers evolving. That's how I've evolved. I know that's you're on the similar path now as well, Jacob. That's because we've had this conversation as well. That's you came to the same realization that I have, and you really want to help your clients more with their business problems and their branding problems, and that goes beyond just the visuals, right? That you're figuring all of that out now, right?
Yeah. So I think that's a perfect leeway into your course. And so did you want to talk about Brandmaster Secrets and what you're set out to achieve with that course?
Yeah, so that it's pretty much a natural progression from where I've come from, and everybody else who I've been talking to along the way. So as I said, it's 5-6 years since I started to go down that rabbit hole, and when I did start to do that, there was nothing. There was nothing online for me to go and find out that information. There were a few articles here and there, and a lot of articles actually contradicted each other. So I would go in and I thought I had this part nailed down, and I decided to do a little bit more digging so I could learn more. And then I had another article absolutely contradicting what this article said, and it kind of left me a little bit more confused. So I advanced then from the whole searching online, and I really started to kind of go deep on it and reading books and by the experts in their field over the last 50 years or so. And that's when I really started to piece together the puzzle. And then I started to develop my own systems and my own processes, and I refined them, made them better. And it took me such a long time to get to the point that I was able to confidently reproduce strategies over and over again, and really help my clients to succeed with their brands, not just hand over a good looking identity, but to actually help them to succeed. Because when clients come to you looking for a logo or a brand identity, what they're actually looking for is they're actually looking for somebody to help them make their brand succeed. They think that what they need is a logo. They think that what they need is a brand identity. But when you start to talk to them, really what they want is they want their brand to succeed. So that's what I was able to do with this system. So because it took me so long, and because I started to write then about all of these different elements, because the content out there was not great. So I started to write more and more, and I started to realize, that there's a real appetite for this information. And so I decided to streamline everything I had done, put it into a system, put it into a process, and put it into a course for designers to make that transition, who want to become specialists in branding, who want to become strategists, who want to differentiate themselves from all of those other designers and actually start earning decent fees, so they're not competing with those designers, and they're not coming across clients that are saying, look, I can go and get this done cheaper online. Because when they start to specialize, when they get into brand strategy, then they're not competing with those designers. They're in a specialist field, and they're able to justify the value that they offer. And that's when their audience kind of separates the two, and their audience realizes, I'm dealing with a designer over here who can do a logo for me, but this guy over here, he's got his shit together. He knows what he's talking about, and that's the kind of help that I want. So that's when you're able to separate from the design world, and you're able to separate your fees as well. You're able to charge a lot more. The more comfortable you get developing strategies, the more comfortable you get talking to your clients, and the feedback that you get from your clients as well, with them actually thanking you now for helping them with their business as opposed to trying to squeeze you on price. That's when you get more comfortable and you can start charging those higher fees. So that's what I decided to do with this course, was to, give designers that bridge, because I know there's a lot going down this rabbit hole that you went down, that I went down, that many other designers before me have gone down, and most of them have hit dead ends because, as I said, a lot of those articles were contradictory. There was no real framework in place, no real actionable techniques or processes or systems that I could take in and apply. So yeah, I took all of those techniques and processes and systems and all of the tools that I developed over the years, and I really streamlined it all, packaged it all together to give designers that bridge to really fast track becoming a brand strategist, to be able to go in and start specialize in branding. So that's what the course is all about. Helps designers become brand strategists without having to kind of spend 5 years trying to learn it all themselves.
Yeah. Thanks for explaining that. And I definitely had the same problems. And your course really does go into the theory behind why you're doing these things and actually provide the tools and resources to do it. And I honestly have been researching this for the past year and looking at different courses and books. And there is nothing more comprehensive than what you put together, which is really amazing, especially the worksheets and the tools at the end, packaged up in a toolkit. That was really, really valuable, and it really does save a lot of time figuring out how to actually implement those things into facilitating workshops and things like that. So kudos to you.
And the toolbox, to be honest, Jacob, that was me kind of retracing my steps and going, I remember that I had to start coming up with audience personas and competitor analysis, and I started to put this stuff all together in a spreadsheet, and I'd have all of these messy spreadsheets all over the place in the beginning, and then over time, the more I did it, the more I was able to kind of move that information around, cut out information that wasn't so important, and really push the critical information to the front. So I focused on that, and then over time, all of these tools, when I came to doing an audience persona, when I came to doing competitive analysis, positioning strategy, differentiation strategy, communication framework, personality, all of this stuff, I had all of these tools, all of these workbooks, all of these cheat sheets all ready for me in all of these folders. So I just went bang, 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 bang. And, when I first started doing that, it was all over the place. It was taking me so long just to do one strategy. But over time, I refined that, and the worksheets and the cheat sheets and the templates, the tools, they were my saving grace. It removed so much of the legwork. It removed so much of the the thinking and and it was just it just led me from one step to the next till it became second nature. And today, I still use the exact same tools that I'm giving away within the course, within the toolbox. They're just perfect for me because I'm so in sync with them. I just open them up, bang, 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 and yeah, that's how the course developed into how it is. It's me retracing my steps of what I did and what I did and what I came across, what I needed, what I didn't need, and then just chopping out the stuff that I didn't need and really refining that down. So.
Yeah, it's really powerful, and I'm still adapting some of those things, figuring out what works with my flow, and I think that's really what it comes down to is systems and making it right for you. I know a question I get a lot is, what is the end deliverable for a brand strategy? And I know you have the master playbook at the end. So did you want to talk about what you kind of deliver at the end and what the end thing looks like?
Yeah, so the playbook itself is actually a step-by-step guide. So the playbook is not the deliverable. The deliverable is the brand master guide. So the brand master guide. So we've all done, we've all done brand style guides before, and the style guide gives you, the rules around what you can do with the logo, what you can do with the typography, what you shouldn't do, etc. But again, when you hand that over to a client, you know, they have a book which tells them, what they can and can't do with their visual assets. And to be honest, they're not really going to be doing anything with their visual assets anyway, other than what you give to them. So that book to me didn't really help them. So this end book that you give them, the Brand Master Guide, hands over a strategy that acts as a guide for them to go out into the marketplace and communicate their brand. Now, if this is a small business, they're going to be able to take this book and go out and use it. They're going to be able to open it up and use it when posting on social media, or when creating content, creating a blog post, creating a video, creating an advertisement, because in this brand book is their rules. It's exactly what they want their audience to understand about their brand, broken down into frameworks and systems. And then they can refer to this. They can use this every time they go out there and create a piece of content. They can also hand this over if it's a bigger firm, if it's a bigger brand, and they do have a marketing team. This can be handed over, and they can use that. But essentially, what it does is it gives the brand owner and the brand leaders a tool to use to communicate their brand consistently. And at the end of the day, that's what branding is all about. Consistency leads to trust. Trust leads to loyalty. Loyalty leads to advocacy. And that's how you build brands, through that consistency. And that's what that brand book really does. So it breaks down all of each of those elements within a brand. And all of these worksheets work in tandem with this Brand Master Guide. So every single worksheet that you have leads into a piece in the Brand Master Guide. So when you do your research over here and you define and strategize what your outcome is from this branding element, that then directly goes into the Brand Master Guide. So the Brand Master Playbook walks you through each and every one of these steps, and then you simply go through each step. You take out the deliverable, you put it into the Brand Master Guide. At the end, when you do your brand identity design, then you style this brand book in the brand identity design, and that's what you hand over to your client at the end. And the value that they get from that Brand Master Playbook, or from that Brand Master Guide, is immeasurable. They have something then that they can use. They can, they can go out into the marketplace by themselves if they want, and they have a tool now that they can go, okay, well, I'm doing a social post today. What am I going to talk about? Well, let's flick through the brand book and see what are the messaging framework or the story framework that I can use to either tell a story on social, to provide a message on my advertisement, whatever it is. They have a guide that they can go out and use. And the difference in value when you hand that over, and the feedback that I got from that was the big difference for me when I did come up with that Brand Master Guide, and I did start handing that over to clients, something that they could actually use instead of just a style guide. Then they felt that they had more control over their brand, and that's essentially what they want. They want their brand to succeed, but they don't just want to get a book where they go, okay, well, this is my brand. It tells me what it is. It tells me how it looks, but I can't actually use this. They want the control to be able to go and manage their brand effectively, and that's essentially what the Brand Master Guide gives them.
Yeah, and the confidence in the marketplace, really.
Yeah, and that transcends. If you know your stuff as a brand strategist, then part of the onboarding process, and I go through this in the course as well, part of the sales process, and I don't know about you, but me personally, I don't like hard sales tactics, sales over the phone and telling them that they need this. So that was part of my progression as well. When now I have, this great product, but I'm charging higher fees. How do I get those clients? So that my strategy progressed on the sales side of things as well, and it became more of an educational process rather than a sales process. And there is, again, a step-by-step guide for this as well. How do you go about educating your clients into educating your prospects into a client? And that's essentially what you do. You teach your clients the value of brand strategy, so that by the end of that educational process, they know that, yes, they can go and get a logo cheaper, but they know now what a brand really is. And they know that if they go and get a logo cheaper, then they're not giving the best for their brand. So if, as a strategist, you have that confidence to deliver the education, and that's what I teach in the course as well. Yes, it's about the core material, but it's also about how do I transition from a graphic designer to a brand strategist. How do I get that confidence to start talking about brand strategy? And I go through all of that in the course. But when you do arrive at that point, then you're educating your clients into what brand strategy actually is. So by the end of the process, yes, they have their brand master guide, and they have a tool that gives them the control to go out and express that brand, but they also have the confidence and the understanding of what a brand actually is. So they have that understanding to go along with the brand master guide. So they're going out into the market. They know what to do. They know what their brand needs to achieve. They have a guide in which to go out and achieve that. And yeah, as I said, they're just so much better place to be able to go out and make a success of their brand through this brand master guide and through the understanding that as a strategist you give them through the education and the process that you take them on.
Yeah, that you said it so well, really. So to summarize, like, what would be your biggest tip for a designer that wants to turn into a brand strategist?
Well, I think it's less than a tip. It's more of a decision. So,
yeah, that's
you know,
a great
if
put it, yeah.
if you either want to become a specialist in your field or you don't. Now, for me, I did love design, and I'd spend all day on Illustrator or Photoshop with my coffee and my loud music, and that would be a perfect day to me. And when I did start to go down the brand strategy road, I was kind of deferring from what I loved to do, but I had this curiosity. I was like, yeah, look, if I'm going to be in branding, then if there's something that I don't know about branding, that's going to gnaw away at me. So that's where the curiosity, that's where my journey started. So the key for anybody thinking about this is, what's your end goal in what you do? Like, what do you want to become? If you're going to be in branding, if branding is your career, where's that career going? Where are you going to be in 5 years? Where are you going to be in 10 years? Are you still going to be designing logos? And if you're going to make that decision because that's what you love to do, you love to sit there on Illustrator, you love to sit there with the loud music, and that's what you want to do, then great. But if you want to specialize, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, if you want to become an expert in your field, then you're gonna have to commit to it. At some stage, you're gonna have to, think about where you're gonna be in 10 years and go, well, this is what I want to be doing in 10 years. And if I'm gonna get there, this is what I need to do. So really the tip for me would be to define whether or not you do want to go down that road. If you do want to become a specialist, if you do want to become a branding specialist, and if you do, then commit to it and go all in and leave no stone unturned, so that there's nothing about branding that you don't know, so that when you do sit down with your clients, and this is the big key here, and you start talking about branding to your clients, you have this immediate trust from them because you've got conviction in what you do, and you'll have conviction in what you do because you've become obsessed with learning about it. You become obsessed about branding. You've left no stone unturned, and they can ask you anything, and you'll be able to be on it straight away. And that level of conviction, again, that really leads to trust, and that's not just part of the branding process, it's part of the sales process as well. When it comes to branding services, if you're able to really give them the feeling that you're able to help them with their business, to help their business succeed, help them with their brand, then they're far more likely to go, yeah, I need this guy, I need this girl. Their fees are a lot more expensive, but I know the end result over here is going to be worth every penny. So yeah, if you want to be in branding long term, then specialize, go all in on it, become an expert, so that when you start to talk to people about what you do, and they say, what do you do? And you go down the conversation of branding, then you know your stuff, and you've got that conviction. So that would be my advice to anyone in graphic design, anyone in branding who is still just providing design services, but really do want to specialize and become an expert in what they do.
Well, you heard it. Yeah, just make a decision. It's up to you. Well, thank you so much for talking about your course and how you got into it and all of that. I really did enjoy it. So appreciate your time. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, and again, mate, I appreciate you because as I said, 7, 8 years ago when I was getting into freelance and I was looking for tips and techniques on how to design logos better, how to use typography better, how to use color palettes better, then I was going to your stuff and checking your stuff out. So thank you as well.
Cheers. It goes full circle.
Exactly. Thanks, mate.
Cool. See ya.